Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with a special episode 40 to be exact, of 2 P's
and the bearded one.
Let's get it.
This is Flynn's Arcade and More, located in Margate, Florida. This weekend, and actually the next couple weeks, we have, well, this Saturday, the 19th, we have our Everything Star Wars Day, which involves Star Wars trivia, Star Wars cosplay, Star Wars special guests like celebrities, actors from like the Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Return of the Jedi.
No way.
That's this Saturday from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Everybody's welcome. It's just $10 when you're in Star Wars cosplay or Star Wars attire, like a shirt or a getup or something like that.
Nice.
We're gonna also show Rogue One on our big screen at 10 p.m. If you want to come just for the movie, let's say you're strapped for cash, totally free just to come for the movie. But we surely do hope you join us on the 19th, which is this Saturday. Of course, all the arcade games and video games and stuff like that. Then on Sunday, the 20th, from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. is our first ever Madden 24 tournament. Because Madden 24 is brand new.
Right.
Actually released, I think, on the 18th.
It drops early today.
Oh, today. Okay, it drops early today.
It drops early today if you get the early release, and then it drops Thursday.
Okay.
Officially for everyone.
So like the 17th officially.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
So Madden 24 tournament. My boy Miguel from EA Open Sports. That's our Instagram. Is going to head that up. That's 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday the 20th. Then the following weekend, I believe it is the 26th. We have our FIFA tournament, FIFA 23 tournament from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's a Saturday.
Yeah.
And then on that Sunday, we have CrawlCon, which is our Everything Board Games gathering extravaganza with our friends from Crawl Board Games. And that's from noon to 6 p.m.
Wow.
And then, of course, we have like other FGC, like Guilty Gear Strive. We host our weekly Street Fighter 6 tournaments on Fridays. We do Guilty Gear Strive tournaments on Sundays. So we always have
So
something
I saw you
going on.
guys just did one this past
Yeah, on
week,
Sunday.
no?
Yeah. We do it. That's our weekly.
I got time.
So then we got $10 Tuesdays. We got Dungeons and Dragons on Wednesdays. Build and paint nights for Gundam and model builders and mini painters on Thursdays. Then Magic the Gathering Commander nights on Fridays. And then the tournaments.
Listen, it sounds like there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
But
You heard it here first.
You can't tell me you have nothing to do because there's a lot. There's a lot. We got tournaments, we got crawls, we got movies, we got Star Wars. It is what it is. We gotta come here, man.
And with that said, let's get the show started. We got a lot of questions to
Let's
ask.
get the questions going.
Awesome.
All right, y'all. So I'm gonna get into my questions for our fellow friend here, the bearded one. To start off,
Yeah.
I always had when I first got here, I was like, that's an interesting name.
Yeah.
Where does the name Flynn's come from?
Flynn's comes from a 1980s movie called Tron.
Okay.
So it was the creator of the grid in Tron from
the
nine-
motorcycle?
Yeah, but not the second one. You're probably thinking maybe of the
first
second one. The Tron Legacy was the 2000
I'm
version.
talking about
the OG one.
The OG.
Okay, yeah, from the 84, from the 80s, yeah.
Okay.
So in that movie, when you guys watch it, the arcade he had was called Flynn's because his last name is Flynn's.
No way.
So that's why I said if I ever opened an arcade or if we had anything to do with like Arcade World or whatever, we would name it Flynn's in honor of Tron.
That's cool.
That's
See, I didn't know
In the
that.
1984, in the 1980s.
That's
Yeah, a lot of people
awesome.
think my name is Flynn. Like they think my name is Flynn. Or
So
last name's Flynn.
shout outs first of all to Phil's comic and our boy Brian,
Brian.
because he's the one that put me on to the cosplay, right?
Okay.
I hit him up for a certain reason about this interview, and
Okay.
he told me what your name was.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, Eddie, that man, he's cool. He always comes over here." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." So I was like, "Okay, so his name is not Flynn."
Right.
Got it. And then when you introduced yourself to the DMs as well, you said, "Oh hey, my name's Eddie. They call me the Bearded One." I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm not gonna call him Flynn." Got it.
Right.
Cool.
I won't take offense at all, but it's
I mean, that's
not
still,
my name.
that's a cool backstory. Now we know why it's called Flynn.
It's an innocent mistake.
Right.
It's an innocent mistake.
Yeah, it's a pretty OG, like nerdy fact that a lot of people don't know.
That's cool because that's something that we were talking about. Like, we were trying to get to someone who is of that culture and knows those little facts, those little tidbits, so we can understand like where it comes from. So that's really cool. And it's cool for the audience to know too.
Of course.
All right. So question number 2.
Okay.
In this whole place, what's your favorite arcade game?
So like
Arcade game.
The arcade games. So like arcade games. So before we got into owning an arcade and like the machines and stuff like that, I played the laundromat. So we lived in Bay Harbor Island in Miami,
Okay.
and so like we didn't have. And this is like the early 90s. So like there was no washer and dryer inside the unit. So we would go to a laundromat. and on Sundays after church and stuff, and we would do. My mom would do laundry or whatever. So my sister and I were dragged there, and they had a MK1, a Mortal Kombat 1 cabinet, and then they had a Galaga cabinet.
Okay.
So Galaga, really, I picked up on very quickly because Galaga is just like it's a game. In our world, it's called like a marathon game. So like technically it is beatable, but like you could play it pretty much as long as you want. But there's patterns. So the patterns within the game are complex, and it's not super simple, but it's like you can get used to it. You know what I'm saying? The MK1 cabinet, I was never really good at like fighting games. Mm-hmm. I just didn't get timing down right. I could never remember combos, quarter turn this. I was never really good at that, especially when you play on used machines, because like everything's broken.
Yeah.
So
and
so
you have to pay. So if you lose, you don't get a lot.
It was only a quarter. Because this is like the early '90s. So it was a laundromat, like a quarter laundromat. But yes, you do have to pay to get better.
Yeah, right.
It's like with our FGC group, our fighting game community. A lot of people think fighting games are just like stupid and like, what's the point? And I'm like, this is like, and I argue, this is like professional sports. And my certain opinion is even harder than that, because the amount of inputs they're remembering, and also for every attack they have to remember everybody's counter of every character or every fighter, anti-air, all this crap. And I'm like, so anyways, Galaga is my favorite one. That's why I have it tattooed here. So so Galaga is my favorite one, and I think it's actually pronounced. I don't think it's pronounced Galaga. So I think the actual form pronouncing of it is like called like Galiga. Like it's like weird pronunciation.
I know which one you're talking about. That and then you're shooting down the little.
Yeah, it's a vertical. It's a vertical shooter.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That was funny thing is my mom got us when we had like the first PlayStation.
Yeah.
They had those Miss Pac-Man. You know like
the
3
classic
games in one.
discs.
Yeah, 3 games in one, and Galaga was on there.
Yeah.
And that was something that she would play with us. Like usually she'd be like, you guys are playing video games, but when we turned that on, she would sit there and play with us, and that was like, I know what you're talking about, because we also used to be in laundromats, playing the games, the Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I used to play in the laundromat, so I wasn't really good at it, because that was the only time I got to play. You know what I'm saying? It was like, all right, I have 4 quarters. Let's see how much time I can do this. So those are good times. So I like how we can kind of like share that same kind of story.
Yeah, for
so you're saying Galaga is one of your top?
Yeah, I would say it's like the only game I really play. Like really? I mean, the last system I personally owned was like a PlayStation 2. So like, because the thing is, a lot of times with arcade game, or how can I say this? Like, with a lot of times when you start a business that you have an infatuation about, you get clouded by that infatuation. So you got to be really careful. So you have to appreciate it, but appreciate it from in my opinion, appreciate it from a distance.
Right, because then you probably lose the.
You take things too personal. You become infatuated with certain things. I mean, I love Gundam, and we have Gundam here, and we do all that stuff. I really admire Warhammer. I played it way back in the day. Every one of our communities that we have, I've done at one point in my life.
Okay.
But now my goal and my mission is to be a blessing to the community that we serve, the Flynn's family that we serve. And that time allotment that is dedicated to that service does not allow me
to
the
put
time.
The time in games. Okay.
I could, but I'd have to ignore.
But then you're not balancing. Yeah.
And it's not about me. At this point, it's not about me. It's not about me.
You're servicing the community.
Yeah, it's not about, and that's what every business owner needs to know. Like, it's cool to have, like, it's cool to be in comic books. Like, Brian is like really intelligent. Like, he is OG comic books. Those guys are a different breed. Those guys are a different breed. But if you watch him, he exemplifies that. Like, when a customer comes in, he stops what he's doing, asks, hey, you know how he is. Hey, how you doing? Can I help you find something? They might have questions or whatever. It's all about the community.
Or straight off, hey, I got the tool that you wanted, that you called me for. Like, usually, because I'm always texting him, I'm always like in contact with him.
Okay.
Hey, when I come in, hey, yeah, go in your box.
Oh, your subscriptions.
Yeah, I'm a big nerd, man. I'm a big nerd.
He has a great. I believe that Brian is undervalued.
100%. Because you've been to Tate's?
Of course.
Tate's is cool. I like Tate's. Phil's Comic Shop gives me more, and it's less, if that makes sense. Because it's personal. I go in there. He knows us by face, by name. We've gone out with his family. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's really doing his due diligence to the community, like how you were saying. So I get what you're saying. And it's funny because a lot of times he doesn't have time. I'm like, hey, did you
It's
read
just
this?
him.
Yeah, it's just him. I mean, Phil, does the orderings and stuff like that, but it's him running the shop, you know. And then he, hey, did you read this? Did you watch this? I haven't had time. I'm like,
yeah, because he's there freaking building boxes for subscriptions and stuff like that, like, and putting new stock out. No, the comic book world is a world I would not. I privately collect, but like, I have no. I applaud them for having a comic book shop.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I would not want to do that, like
awesome,
personally.
All right, so I have another question.
Okay.
This one's gonna be interesting because we have Star Wars. Your Star Wars event coming up
Right.
this Saturday.
Yep.
What's your favorite Star Wars movie or movies? One or two. Just give me one or two.
Okay. So like my uncle, so like I was born in '84, so you know the movies were a little more recent, you know, as opposed to like 2000s, because remember they were released like in the 70s and the late early 80s. So I was around it, you know. So my uncle Ted, he was very big into Star Wars. So Star Wars was introduced to me at a very young age, but the OG ones, you know, like so episode 4, 5, and 6, you know, like the original ones. And then we owned the VHS, and I still have it, it's in that display case, the VHSs of, actually no, it's probably stored now, the VHSs of when they re-released the remastered versions, not the versions with additional content for 4, 5, and 6, but when they redid the editing.
Right.
They remastered it, you know? So I had those immediately once they came out. I was given those for Christmas or a birthday gift or something, and so I watched those religiously for forever. And so
a repeat.
Yeah, and then that's why, because remember, so I was in high school in the 2000s. So when episode 1, 2, and 3 came out, I was around. We were all around, so we were able to see it in the theater. So I have you'll usually see it. You'll see me share it over the next couple of days. I have a photo because my buddy Tim and I, we had won passes to episode 1 in Miami Beach at on Lincoln Road, that movie theater that's on Lincoln Road in South Beach. We had run advanced screening. So I dressed up as the Emperor and he dressed up as Vader, and we got ourselves into the newspaper for that show. And the cool thing is we had gotten double tickets, so we went to go see it in Lincoln Road, and then we immediately left. I was driving by this time, so I was probably 19, 18. And we went to Aventura, and we saw it there. Same day. So we saw it there the same day. But the thing is so to answer your question, I would say 4, 5, and 6 are the more ones I lean to. The Return of the Jedi is probably one of my favorite ones ish, just because it's the last one. Yeah,
no,
6.
6.
So cause you have A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi. And Return of the Jedi, I liked a little bit more. I like the characters a little bit different. You know, I like the whole story. You know, Darth Vader dies and things of that nature, and they reunite and that crap. So that's why, Steven, you'll meet him this Saturday. So Steven played a Gormarian guard on, I don't know if you know what that is, but those, if you see the photo, you see the pig guard right there? He played that. That's him from the original movie.
Okay,
from
picture right here.
From the OG movie. So from Jedi, Return of the Jedi. And then I had the privilege of meeting Mike Quinn, who played, I think his character's name's Nib Noob, which is, you remember that portion of those movies where Han Solo was piloting with an alien that had the flaps on his face?
Yes.
And blah, blah, blah. That was him. So
Oh,
that
no
was
way.
Mike Quinn too. So Mike and I email back and forth every so often. So it was really cool connecting with Mike, talking to Steven, understanding how, when Star Wars came out, the OG ones, it was just no, I don't think they really knew what they were, no one knew what they were getting themselves into.
It wasn't.
It wasn't what it is today.
Right. They didn't realize it was going to become that.
No, these guys, bro, they were puppeteers and stuff. They were just there to fill a spot. Yo, you want to play this big nasty pig guard? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's get this guy off the street. Let's go over. Let's go there.
I'm down.
But Steven is American, and Mike is from London, I believe. But so you have the OGs 4, 5, and 6, and that's probably what I resonate to. I try to give I enjoyed 1, 2, and 3 to a certain level. 4, 5, or 7, 8, 9, the new ones, they were okay. It was a retelling, and I think it was an unnecessary retelling.
Same.
It was why don't you do something different? Luke and Leia, they have separate families, and they kind of did it with Leia and Han Solo, you know? You could have gone so many directions. But at that point, hadn't Lucasfilm already handed over to Disney?
And it wasn't.
I think so.
Lucas, I felt once Lucas let go, not saying he let, but you know what I'm saying, he didn't have full
Creative control, yeah.
Exactly. That's when it kind of steered right or left, however you want to say. Not saying I'm not upset about it, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because 4, 5, 6 is, 4, 5, 6 is like the OG originals. For me, I'm a little younger than you. I was born in '89, so 1, 2, 3.
We're closer.
I had the, yeah, but like for you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Growing up was the 4, 5, 6.
Right.
For me,
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3. I had the DVDs. Like I would play. 2 is my favorite.
Okay, yeah.
2 is my favorite. I would play 2 religiously.
Which one is 2? What's the name of it? 2? That's not Attack of the Clones, right?
No, Attack of the Clones is 3.
It's 3?
Yeah, 2 is
I forget what it's called.
I'm bad with the name.
That's not when what Jar Jar Binks is introduced, right? That was
Yes.
1.
No, one Jar Jar Binks. 1 Jar Jar Binks introduced. 2 is when he's
Like a commander or something.
Exactly, like he's in the field. I think that's with the drones. Attack of the clone. No, the clones. I don't know. I just know I had 2. I had
Cool.
Princess Leia. Princess Leia is all masked
Very
up.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the cover. Like that. That was one of my favorite ones. So
Yeah.
that's cool. That's cool to know.
Star Wars.
I have one
Yeah.
last question for you,
Sure.
my friend. This is random. I
Okay.
always like random questions.
Okay.
It's Friday, Saturday night. You're running home late.
Okay.
You don't got nothing in the fridge.
Right.
What's your go-to takeout?
Nothing in the refrigerator.
Nothing. You
See,
can't
like now,
cook. You can't cook nothing. You're tired.
now, like honestly, to be honest, I probably wouldn't pick anything up. I'd probably just go home and suffer through until the morning. Just because, like,
No.
I don't really like. I try not to eat super late anymore, and junk food's really not. Fast food's really not my thing anymore.
Right.
But like, if I had to, like, if I had no choice, I mean, honestly, like, I'd probably lean to more of like the healthier side of things. So like, probably like if Pollo Tropical was open, if Wendy's was open, because the way they cook stuff's a little different. Miami Subs has some interesting things that are like a little bit more on the healthier side. Yeah, probably that. No more Taco Bell. I can't do that.
No,
when I was 30, I would say
no.
like, no, I probably stopped eating Taco Bell when I was like 25.
Dude,
It just
early
goes
20s.
in and goes out
Straight out.
very quickly. And it's usually uncomfortable. So that can't do that. McDonald's, I can't do that anymore. And then I mean, where else? I mean, well, you have Popeyes, which is pretty good sometimes. You have KFC, but you have Boston Market, but just kind of disappearing. You have. I'm trying to think of the other options you have. Like, what else you have?
Me
Checkers?
personally, I'm just like straight Asian food. So I'm ordering Chinese.
Oh, like you didn't say like, okay, I can go to a place.
Takeout.
Oh, I can go take out. So the stores are open. What time are we talking? What time is this?
What, all right, so when I say late, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
it's
like, I'm not saying
2 in the
past
morning.
10. No.
Yeah, I was
like
thinking
you
2 in
just
the
got
morning.
out of here, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's
You know,
easy. Okay,
you
so
know?
that's the case, and I'm going to Whole Foods.
Oh.
I'm going to Whole Foods.
You're going to
I'm going to like
the hot bar?
the hot bar, or like their pizza bar stuff, or like
Their pizza's fire.
you know, or their like their frozen section, stuff like that.
I think their pizza's underrated.
But yeah, no, I think
They have good pizza.
I think Whole Foods in general, it's so ridiculous that technically good food has to be so expensive.
Right.
And you can still eat decently. You just have to be mindful of what you do. But now with the money going a lot less, not as far, you have to be conscious of that too. You know what I'm saying? So,
Inflation's crazy, man.
well, yeah, and that's in itself like kind of like why at Flynn's we keep everything as affordable as possible. Like I keep, you know, everything on that shelf is usually about $5 and under, other than the alcohol. So
okay.
like, but like the entries, like $15, and you can play as much as you want for as long as you want.
Yeah.
Or $10 an hour. Or for my events, most of the time it's $10 if you follow the rules of like attire or cosplay or whatever. But then other than that, it's $15. Or we do free movie nights because unfortunately, what I see happening is, you know, like during COVID when the world stopped and everybody got into like collectability, like collecting stuff. And what happened? A lot of shops opened up and a lot of shops got started in the collectible space. And those are what I consider like extraordinary or like extracurricular spending. You don't need a statue to like live, right? So like now I'm even seeing that where it's like if businesses don't create some sort of comparable competitive market where they're affordable, why would you go there?
Yeah,
People can't even afford to buy food. Like, and the thing is, Americans like entertainment, and so like that's why I always recommend to other businesses. If they ask my opinion, I don't just go and like open the door and yell out, "Yo, you should do this." if they ask my opinion, I say you need to find things. You need to find things for the community. First of all, you need to identify your community. Then you need to find things that your community wants to do. and then you have to find out a way to make them as affordable as possible, while you still make money to keep the lights on, utilities paid, everything. But then you also have to figure out a way how to constantly do that.
Right.
Continually.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
consistency is
So,
key, yeah.
and that's why, like I said, whole food, because I'm thinking like, okay, I could probably make that food last for a few days. And also like, by Whole Foods, you're contributing to a larger machine.
Yeah.
Because, like, nothing against Wendy's or whatever, but Wendy's staff's going to be a lot smaller. The infrastructure's going to be a lot smaller. With an establishment like a Whole Foods or a Publix or a Walmart or whatever, that's what people don't realize. I'm like, buy from your local businesses, even if they're big brands, because
It kind of keeps
you
everything
got
moving.
a lot more people. So if I have $10 to spend, how can I put that $10 back into the system to be a blessing to as many people as I possibly can while I spend that money? Does that
Right.
make sense? Does
Yeah,
that
right.
rationale make
For
sense?
For sure.
So that's kind of like how
I mean, you should know as a business owner, like that does make sense.
You'd be
Because
surprised.
you're putting that $10 back into the area, the city, you
Yeah.
know, everything, well-oiled machine. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and then also you have to be conscious that people, you know, you have to be conscious that people do need to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so by buying online, I do understand you're feeding a bigger machine. I get that. But like buying something from out of state when you could buy it locally, why wouldn't you support local first?
Right.
I mean, people can do whatever they want, but that's the kind of way I
The
think. about it.
logic makes sense.
That's how I kind of think about it. Like our distributors, all our distribution houses are usually local for our stuff, but that's more because of legality. Like you can't buy alcohol over state lines and stuff like that.
Right. I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah, I said I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, long story short, Whole Foods, probably the hot bar if it's still open because they usually shut down that pretty early. Yeah, 8. So I'm assuming it's like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? But most of the time, guys, honestly, I just go home and suffer. I suffer at 3 until the morning.
Nice little intermediate fasting.
Yeah, I do that every day. Yeah, I don't eat my first meal till like 2. So I just ate before I came here.
Honestly, that's not a bad thing.
So, no, I mean I'm 38, and you gotta, as you get older, your metabolism slows down, testosterone levels go down too. That causes like, you know, excess body weight, things of that label too. So you have to be conscious of these things.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
and in our nerdy world, a lot of people aren't very health conscious. Or physically.
I mean, we are. We try.
I'm not saying you're not, but I'm just saying like I wish I knew this one dude that was called like I always forget his name. I met him when we first opened. He does really interesting concept where he makes fitness and like nerddom together. And I was really always intrigued by it. He would always go to conventions and he would do like, I don't know, panels, but like he would talk about nutrition and he would talk about exercise and he would talk about all these different elements that aren't typically introduced to that more underworld of like, you know, comics and nerdy stuff. And I always thought that was really, I was like, man, I was like, dude, that's freaking really interesting idea.
It is because he's trying to help out too, you know. Because it's like it's shedding light to some people who've never actually been down that road.
And it's better to get the advice or motivation from someone who's
Actually doing it.
from your community, like
Oh,
your world,
yeah.
and from where you're coming from.
Yeah. They don't know how much you, what do they say? They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
That's all you know that it is. But
Yeah, any more questions? Or
No, that's all my questions I got. And
Alright.
we're gonna pan out to my boy.
As the show continues, it's my turn to ask the
Okay.
gentlemen some questions.
Awesome.
And my first question is, I kind of have an idea what the answer is, but I'm still gonna ask anyways.
Okay.
Consoles or arcades?
I don't recommend the arcade business to anybody.
Okay.
Like, I don't recommend it to anybody. I'm like, you could do it if you want to. Hey, if you're already doing it, I'll help you. And all the years of into this so far, the reason why I don't recommend it is because arcades are very temperamental. It's like dealing with grandpa. You know, like the machine in front of us, other than the monitor that I swapped out, this machine's original from 1987. The Tetris. So like 1987, of course I redid a lot of it. I did key molding, I fixed it up, whatever. But 87, guys,
That's old.
you're talking like, you know what, 30 freaking 6?
That's as old
36 years old. So that's like a 36-year-old machine sitting in front of you. That's like grandpa,
Yeah.
you know, like in technology sense. But the cool thing is motherboards are pretty ironclad, PCB boards are pretty ironclad, buttons. Arcade machines are not complex to fix or work on. Thing is, they take up a lot of space, they can become very expensive, repairs and maintenance can be astronomical. And what we've seen recently with the arcade world is that the indie titles, although they are phenomenal in their design and their elegancy, and I can kind of punch you in a direction if you do want to talk to some indie developers, of like, what they put into it is phenomenal. And that's why, are you guys familiar with like the machine Killer Queen? So Killer Queen is think of like Joust. Do you know Joust, the game Joust, where you're like fighting on ostriches and stuff like that, and you're battling each other. It's a horizontal fighter. Anyways, so it's like that. The console or the arcade machine is $15,000 for one. Now it is a 4 or 6 player machine, or 6. I think it's 6 or 8 player machine.
So it's a big.
It's a big machine.
Okay.
But your average indie title is going to be somewhere between $5,000 to $8,000 for one machine. And then also like even the titles in here, you're talking about like Rampage, like Rampage World Tour. That's all original. You're probably looking somewhere in the ballpark of $4,000 to $6,000 for that machine. You know what I'm saying? Like plus or minus, depending on what you have. DDR is 6, Pong is 12.
How much is the gear?
Oh, that's called a Naomi Universal cabinet.
I was gonna say because that one's like totally different.
Yeah, it's a Naomi Universal cabinet. So those are from Japan, obviously. To get one brought into the country, like in a Blast City like model, you're probably looking at about somewhere between $2,000 to $3,500.
Oh, it's not bad.
It's not bad, but the maintenance, and you're also talking about the motherboard. You're also talking about all these different components that you may know nothing about.
It's a different construct.
Different construct, different everything. And the thing is, it's like an old car. You know how you can get in the engine of an old car very easily? You can do oil change, all that stuff, if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, it doesn't matter how much room you have. And that's what brings me over to consoles. Consoles are good. They're portable. They're fairly inexpensive, comparatively. A lot more on one system. They're more user-friendly. The UI and the user interface is a lot easier. So I would say lean more towards for personal ownership, consoles, because of the mere fact that you're going to have a lot less maintenance. For the nostalgic and how cool it is to walk up and have an arcade machine in front of you, definitely for collectability, it's going to be the Tetris. It's kind of like buying a Kia versus buying like a freaking Shelby.
Okay.
You feel me? Like,
yeah.
Kias have their place, consoles have their place.
Right.
But some people want a Shelby, some people want a collector car. And you can find a lot of these like very affordable arcade machines, but you have to bring them. You guys may have seen on my posts the stories, like I'm restoring my Manny and Neil and I and other buddies, Ant and us, we're restoring these together just to kind of bring them back to life.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I have a storage unit like full of machines that just haven't been worked on yet.
That's cool.
But yeah, that answers your question.
Wow, I like that answer. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's pretty
All right, this is a very fun question. Ryu or Ken?
Why am I what?
Ryu or Ken?
Ryu or Ken? Ryu.
Ryu?
Well, that's because like, I don't know, Ryu, like you see, I don't know, I've always saw him more. Like in the advertisements.
Okay.
Like in the, I mean, he's right there, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it's the
Street
answer
Fighter versus
more
X-Men.
so of you from using him, more you seeing him.
I'm seeing, he's more recognizable.
Gotcha.
And I'm not a huge, I like Marvel vs. Capcom, and I like Street Fighter. I like the dynamic of the game, and also that he does the Hayuken, right? Like, so I like the Hayuken.
So does Ken though, but
different.
It goes back to Ryu.
He was more advertised. Like
because he is the one with the white gi, with sleeveless, with the red headband, right? The red head and the glove. Well, it's some gloves. He has the red gloves, right? Or no, is that Ken?
red glove. Yep.
Red gloves. Yeah. So
Ken has the red gi.
The red gi with the white belt, or what?
No, it's black belt, but he got the yellow headband.
He got the red with the.
What headband does he got?
I want to say yellow, but then I saw him with the red earlier today when I was playing.
When he was playing, he literally before we got here, he was
Street Fighter 6.
He Alpha 3, and he beat Ryu, and Ryu basically gave him a red headband after that. So, yeah. I guess that's the story. That story more that we don't.
I would think it'd be like if you showed a picture of two people, or you showed a random person the picture of both of them, they'd probably say, "Oh, that's Ryu."
Of course.
Ken, you think of Ken, but not really.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for me, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you have to answer any, like rattle off names of the original, like Tekken players or Tekken characters. I mean, how many people can, King? You think of? Who else? What's the main dude? Law.
Who else?
Who's it's an original?
Like OG,
original.
Like OG.
Hayachi.
Yeah, you have like a couple you can randomly rattle off. The Tekken, although it was popular, but it was, it's like those characters you see all the time, like the Hulk. You see the Hulk, that was the Hulk.
Yeah.
And then Marvel made it, or whatever. But
in Mortal Kombat, you got your Scorpion, Sub-Zero, but then if you add like a reptile, they're going, who's that green guy? You know what I'm saying? They know the blue, they know the yellow.
Or Katana.
Right.
Like, her outfit's like blue, I think. Or no, what didn't she have the blade things? Or who's one of the blades? Is it her?
Katana was purple. She would have like
Those fans, the
Fans
fans
with the
that
blade.
blades
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And, okay, so Marvel or DC, but why? Why your pick?
Okay, so I would lean more on, so there's a couple worlds. For collectability, for like comic books, graded comic books like I collect, I would lean probably more towards Marvel for the resale value of it. Because
Okay.
it's more recognizable.
Okay.
Other than if it's a Batman, okay, everyone knows Batman.
Right,
if it's
right.
Superman #1 or whatever, people know what that is.
Right.
What, Daredevil is DC too, or no?
No, Marvel.
You know, like I'm trying to think of other DC characters. See, I'm having a hard time even thinking about it. I am a huge Swamp Thing fan.
Okay.
Nice.
So like, you know, when I finally got the first appearance of Swamp Thing in Strange Tales, I think it is, like those are more obscure people that you don't really like. Oh well, what is that? But for the collectability, I personally would lean towards Marvel first appearances, key issues, because the resale value is there.
Okay.
For movies, you kind of got to give it to Marvel also, because DC
It's just been on a run, man.
although I am a big fan. Like a lot of people don't like it, but like I was a big fan of I like Ben Affleck's Batman because it reminds me of what was that one animated series where Batman's like bigger and he's like thicker? Is it Dark
When he's
Knight?
older? Where he's older?
Yeah, it's like year one, not year one. Yeah, where he's older.
I know what you're
Where
talking
he's
about.
like stocky and
It's
lower than
Yes.
the ground.
Dystopian world, like.
And Robin is a girl.
Yes,
His Robin
yes,
character's
I
a
saw
girl.
that one. Yes, I saw
And he was wearing. That's where his metal suit came in, I think.
Yeah.
He had a metal suit.
Yep.
Towards the end, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
When he fought, was he fighting Superman?
No, he was fighting in the one you're talking in particular. He was fighting like a band of goons. Like,
And their leader was extremely
It was Bane.
big.
I think it wasn't Bane.
It wasn't
It
Bane.
was
That's what
Bane.
people thought, but he was really big. He was. It was literally. It was future. He was older, and you don't have your regular enemies.
Right.
And they're like you said, it was a gang, and the leader. But he looked like Bane, but he wasn't Bane. He was just a big, probably.
But wasn't Bane in that movie? Like in the
possibly
end, wasn't he in
could
the
have
end
been,
like
but
in a
he
home?
wasn't- I don't
No, he was like in a home. Like the poison, the toxin had affected him so badly.
Because I remember. Oh.
He was like dying, and I think
yes.
the guy who was a leader was like not a follower of Bane, but like he had taken his serum or whatever.
Bro, I think that's.
I don't know. I could be way.
Yeah,
I
Because
could be way
I
wrong.
do remember Batman having a real knockout brawl of a fight with someone towards the end.
The big dude.
A big
The
dude. I think
yeah.
the leader. So DC has. I think DC should stick to the animated movies.
Yes.
They do those very well.
We've always said that.
They do those very well. Or
Agreed.
better yet, like my wife was saying, like I wasn't a huge fan of the Joker movie, the new one, the Joaquin Phoenix one. I just thought they slapped a psychopathic character and slapped Joker on top of it. Said, okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Be happy with this. But I'll give credit where credit is due. It opened my eyes to the ability of DC to create dramas and like slow paced, slow burned, more dark dramas.
Right.
I will say between Marvel and DC, for them, DC has a lane and an angle. If they go more the dark route, they do that well.
Right.
Not to say that Marvel doesn't do dark well, but their dark is a different type of dark.
Marvel was
DC's
never really. You know
it's
what I'm
not.
saying?
It's
never
it's
really
not
dark.
And you could still get dark out of something that doesn't give you dark. If you understand,
Right,
that
right.
means
Yeah,
that
like in Thor.
If DC takes that angle and don't be so lighthearted, they have something on their hands. But we'll see. We'll see what
Well,
James Gunn.
James Gunn, well, the whole revamp of whatever after the Flash thing. But yeah, so I mean, I would say, but the weird thing is, I read a lot more DC novels. So like,
Novels.
I read comic books. I'm more of a what you guys call me, a cover collector. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Not a
that's
story,
not a
more
story,
cover.
more covers. And I also collect comics based purely off of an analytical ideology. Like this is not emotional. This is purely numbers. So I look at what the book is worth. I look at what its trend has been, how much it could be worth potentially, how much variation is out there, and that's it. So I'll talk to Brian about that all the time. Like I'll say, look, I've been reading this article about like collecting at mid-grade as opposed to high grade. So I'm looking at analytically. But when I read books, like when I read The Last Ronin in the new Gargoyle series,
The Last Ronin is fire.
but you always buy 2 books. I always buy 2 books.
For covers?
No, I always buy one to send off to get graded and one to read.
Oh,
And then you press one. So when Ronin came out, I had done that. and you always send it for pressing and cleaning. And so I send it to press and clean, and then I have a graded set in very high grades for the Ronin, and then I have one set for graded collection for portfolios and for my portfolio, and then I have one for reading. I do the same thing with gargoyles, and I do the same thing with like DuckTales or Darkwing Duck. I base my collections off that stuff.
That's a different way to collect.
It's not even funny. Like, first of all, Swamp Thing is one of my favorite DC characters.
Yeah.
Second, I have the Gargoyle series right now and the Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
And what was the other one that you just said?
Ronin.
I have
Yeah,
Ronin,
that's
and
crazy.
I
All
literally
the
have
ones
all
here,
those
that's
titles that
crazy.
you just said. Like, I don't do what you do, which
Yeah.
I think I might start because that's not a bad
That's
idea.
smart.
That's a really smart idea because you buy two,
Yeah.
one for reading purposes and the other one is for collectible. Press
Of course,
it,
you have to press
grade it. That's smart. That's smart. And I don't know if what part you are in Ronin, but
You're in the Lost Years. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. I started collecting the Lost Years.
Yeah,
too.
so yeah. Brian just threw it into my subscription stuff, so like, yeah. But I would collect only like, even though the collectability on covers is interesting, I only typically do like first runs. Like
Me
first
too.
first
Me too.
printings, first covers. So in comic books, there's multiple covers, right? Obviously.
Mhm.
So I only usually do like what do you guys call like A or one cover, whatever the first one is.
For the Ronins, it's the A's, B's, or C's,
Mhm.
but any other ones, it's like cover one, cover two,
Yeah.
cover three. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I only do A's, and I only do what's it called, first prints and stuff like that.
Sometimes it depends because sometimes let's say the third cover
Mm.
might be like how you were saying analytically
Mm.
will cost more
Mm.
and long run it'll
Mm.
be
Yeah, it
more,
could be.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the only time I'll steer away from the cover A's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have a rhyme and a reason. So with DC, as you were saying, I collect based on the analytical stuff, but then I read a lot more of the novelizations of stuff. So like, I don't know if you guys know, but like pretty much for anybody watching, you don't have to read the comic book. They have Batman's No Man's Land. I don't know if you're familiar with that series, but like Batman No Man's Land from DC basically is Batman's gone. Nightwing has taken on. Nightwing wears the Bat costume.
I heard about the story, but I never got it.
Yeah.
And then like basically each of the villains has their own borough.
Mhm.
So like Penguin's in one place, Joker's in one place, Bane's in one place, Catwoman's in one place. But they're all in Gotham because Gotham has been cut off from the rest of the world. They blew up the bridge. So you know the bridge, how the bridge blows up at the end of the Batman movies?
Mhm.
That was in the book where Bane is there. But like they started mixing books together because there's another book called Nightfall,
Mhm.
which talks about Batman getting his back broken by Bane. And like, so that's why I like the novelization a lot more. And Marvel has a lot of novels too.
They do.
Like they have Weapon X, they have a lot of novelization. I like the novelization better because comic books I go through so quickly. I can read so quickly that I really want a slow burn as opposed to like,
The
well, that was
instant
fun.
gratification.
That was, like the new Gargoyle series, bro. Like, I honestly wait till I have like 7 or 8 of the books, then I'll read it because I would want to continue. I don't want to wait till next
next week.
and also like with ads, guys, it's like getting crazy. Like it's like page, ad,
Dude.
ad, over. You know, I'm like, what did you just pay for? You paid for
And the funny thing is,
$7.
I'm like, oh, wow,
Paid
wow, wow.
$4.
And then you go, what the, come on, man. And then you go, oh, okay, I'm back to the story.
Yeah,
I know what it is.
yeah. I've been researching. Like, are you guys familiar with like what's that series from Japan called? Like Shogun novels or whatever, or Shijan. Basically, they're manga, but they're about this big. They're manga. They're about this thick. They're like a phone book. They're printed on phone book paper.
Whoa.
So they're super thin, and they're a street model. They're street vended like on newspaper stands, and they're like considered disposable. So like you would read it, be like $5. You read it, then you throw it away. And so I was thinking about this idea, and I was like, man, I wonder if this is possible to do in the country stateside, because I'm like, man, if you could give a chunky, fat book like that's in comic centric, but it's totally disposable, where you could get like, there's no ads in this book.
Yeah.
Like
It's just straight.
it's just straight story from start to finish.
Okay.
An artist could do it, but like, I'm talking to Andreas about it, this artist that I know about it. And it's like, I just kind of BS with him, like, bro, this is a really cool idea. I'm like, if someone did this, have like, let's say like 3 or 4 books behind them, and the thing is, in Japan they release them. I think they release them weekly.
Whoa.
So they're like pumping these things out every week, but they have a whole team behind them. But I think it would draw out like the readership a little bit more.
I mean, yeah, because slowly that world has like taken over.
Well,
here in the
manga in
States.
Japan, some of
Manga,
the anything
anime,
Japanese,
yeah.
and we're so behind it.
Yep.
We're like 300 steps behind what they're doing.
mhm.
So yeah, Marvel and DC. I would say read DC. I also read Marvel novelizations, but I collect predominantly Marvel. But then DC, I do collect certain books, but that's more of like very specific, like Man Thing, Swamp Thing. But like then with the Marvelization, Marvel, you definitely want to collect like first appearance of like Rhino and first appearance of like, you know, any Marvel character.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm on a run to collect every first appearance of every Avenger. So every first appearance of every Avenger, like in a mid grade. So that's like a 6.0 and up. But the thing is, I know in certain books I won't be able to get that because you're talking about like first appearance of Captain America.
Yeah,
like, you know, the book's like freaking like what is it, like 40 G's. You know, like we're about I'll take like a 0.5. You know, like a 0.5. Like this book is falling apart.
Yeah.
But that's like kind of like what I'm trying to do now, like
see what you're
collect that. But
Speaking of
Yeah, what's up?
comic books,
As you know, whenever we have guests here at 2Ps, we like to present them with little surprises.
nice. I like surprises.
So,
all right.
first of all, shout outs to our favorite comic shop,
Big shout outs.
Phil's Comic,
Phil.
and our boy Brian.
Brian.
I had to, text him real quick. I said, hey, we're gonna do the interview with the bearded one. You gotta tell me what he likes.
All right.
He gave me your, what you usually get, and I said,
yeah.
nah, I want to surprise him with something that's not in his box.
Okay.
So, me and Latini,
Right
we got
on,
you something.
What'd you
each
guys
of
get?
us.
No.
He told us.
Oh, cool. I didn't even mention what.
He told us. He
Holy
told
crap.
us that you love Swamp Thing and Hellboy.
Hellboy,
And
man.
I was like, if he already has some Swamp
Oh,
Thing
man.
things, let's get you.
We almost kept these for us. So
Yeah.
we saw the cover, we
You
were
guys
like,
never
oh
saw-
my god.
So you guys can see.
Yes, please,
So
please.
Hellboy. Dude, this is freaking fire, dude.
Yeah.
No, Hellboy is my favorite. Like Hellboy's right here.
Yeah.
That's
See
So
what I'm
Hellboy, I
saying?
have Hellboy here, and then the Bureau of Paranormal Investigation
That's
there.
so fire. See that?
And then the right hand of doom
I
here.
picked the right one.
So no, Hellboy, dude, these are all. Thank you guys, I
you're
appreciate
And
it.
the fact that you said you love covers.
No, these
you
are
know
sick
what I'm
covers,
saying?
and they're also
The
so you
first,
can
right?
tell. Yeah, this is the
First,
first printing,
yep, mhm.
and this is, I believe, the first one of the second book.
This is the first book, and
This is the second book.
Yep.
Yeah, so like, and actually, really in good condition too.
Mhm,
So see, that's the collector in me that I have to get better at not doing that. It's like I'll come in there like,
Dude,
oh
that-
man,
dude, that's
I'm like,
fine.
oh,
I'm
okay,
the
so
same
how's
way,
this?
I'm the same way.
So Hellboy and me go way back because Hellboy, I always related to Hellboy because Hellboy, obviously is a demon, spawn, a demon spawn, but he chooses to be good.
yeah.
And he chooses to fight. And also, I'm a Christian, like I believe in God and stuff, and like he chooses to use his belief that his father taught him to fight the demons, to fight.
Right.
So basically, he's like humans.
Yeah.
He's fighting against what we were designed for.
Right.
We can be very evil and mad and mean.
Destructive and all that.
And Hellboy is the opposite of that. And also, heck, Mike Mignola's art, who's the artist of Hellboy and creator of Hellboy, I believe, his art now has kind of broken into a world of like fine art collectors. So to get pages for Mignola books and Mignola art, you're talking, guys, like thousands upon thousands, because his stuff is collectible. This dude was selling on eBay, guys, like a Mignola sketch with no verification for like 8 G's. He was trying to sell it. Whether or not he gets that, it's totally up. We don't know. And also, Mike, or not Mignola, but Hellboy actually has a video game coming out. I don't know if you guys have seen it. You saw the trailer for that?
It kind of looks like
Yeah,
this.
it looks like the art.
It looks like this.
Because I was like,
I showed you a small little trailer.
it's if you guys, if you're watching this or listening to it, and you want something different, Hellboy is very different in terms of its storytelling, and also like it's just a different character altogether. Like that's why I'm also a big McFarlane fan.
Did you like the first movie?
No, I was a huge fan of
I
Ron
love-
Perlman's.
My first introduction to Hellboy was the first movie. The second one I didn't like it so much, but the first movie was.
Oh, the Golden Army?
But for the fact it was different, especially at the time that it came out. It was a very
It was
different
dark.
movie.
You love dark stuff.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
And it's not your typical hero movie, like you said. It's a demon
Yeah.
using his powers for good.
Yeah, he's basically mankind, a polarity.
Yeah.
And think about it, stories of polarity always usually do pretty well because like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it's kind of like that, like the Hulk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like you have
yeah.
Venom to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, you look at comic books and you look at these origin stories. Literally, guys, they're just like retelling of what humanity has already gone through. Like when Superman came out, It was during I think one of the world wars and even the hope in America and all this kind of stuff. And so and Batman and all these other guys. But now they've taken it to another level where it's like, good God, man, like you don't need to ruin this for everybody. Like that's why like the new. What do you guys think of the new Hellboy movie? Did you watch it?
I did.
I strayed away from it after part 2. Left the bad taste in my mouth. I just left it alone.
I fell asleep. Like it was. I fell asleep because the thing is like there was like a comic book. Like they try to make the movie like in my opinion, Eddie's opinion, they try to make it like a comic book, where they chopped it up and did these sequences like panels.
You remember the first Hulk?
Yeah,
How
of course.
they did that? How they did the whole comic panels?
Oh, you're talking about like the one not with Edward Norton.
No,
Yeah.
the one
The
before.
one before that, where he was really green.
Yes.
I
They did
vaguely.
panels. They did panels just like that. And I was
Vaguely,
like,
yes.
It's the same thing. Like
Yeah.
I see it was alright.
Yeah. So that's why I like Swamp Thing, because Swamp Thing is like, well, Swamp Thing's a whole separate discussion because of how he is and who technically it's not him. It's just like his essence in the plants
Swamp
and all
Thing is
stuff.
the entity, and then there's always a host.
Yeah, like
Right.
or like the chemicals. Like Swamp Thing is not the, I always forget his name. Is not the guy. It's like his essence or something of that
He was
nature.
more considered a conduit, like, because if he goes, there's gonna be another person to be the Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Take over.
Yeah, and you see he can like phase in and out like of like material and stuff like that, like the grass and stuff like that. But no, I do not have these books. I do not have these books in my collection at all.
Shout outs to Brian.
They will go to they will go to the grading pool sooner than later, most likely, because I have a run I'm going to send off. Because I was finally able to get my holy grail of Hellboy, but you probably don't know this. But like, so Hellboy wasn't originally introduced in red; he was gray. And so there's a book called, well, technically it wasn't his first appearance, because his first appearance was like in a San Diego Comic-Con page in the background on a panel in the back of another photo, and that was like it's considered because in the comic world that's how crazy they get. They're like, oh, this is his first like cameo, and I'm like, no, he's like on a poster in the corner.
Like, that's not real.
That's like
just
that's
a
like
poster.
yeah. And so that book sells for a lot, and it's only it's like a California San Diego Comic-Con magazine that they gave out at that time or something like that. So anyways, the first one that I got was Dime Press number 4, which Dime Press number 4 is where he's gray, and it's not a full-size comic book. It's like considered like it's like a magazine. It's like a smaller book. Like that. So Dime Press number 4, and right now I'm on the hunt for Next Men 21. So Dime Press number 4 is where he was shown as in gray, and he that was like his first, I think his first like non-comic book appearance or something like that. And then Next Men 21 is where he is
Red?
in the red, and he's like on the cover. If you saw it, you'll know it says Next Men and it says 21. You know, it's. But dude, no, these are killer guys. These are freaking dope.
Yeah.
I'd love to have Ron Perlman here for a guest signing. That would be amazing. But like that's reaching for this. Anything's possible.
Hey man, reach for the
Hey,
stars.
Ron
man.
Perlman, man, come on, man.
I
We're
mean,
gonna tackle in this. Come on, man.
Anything, man.
Slide,
I
Ron.
would love Ron. I mean, freaking Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy. I don't know if you guys watched that show.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I thought that first couple seasons was solid with him as the leader and stuff like that. But see, you guys are taking on from Nardwar.
And you didn't see you like that, right?
That's
You like
funny.
that? Wasn't he? I don't know if. Well, I'm pretty sure you
Yeah.
about the writer's strike and all that stuff.
Yeah, SAG
You didn't
and
see
stuff.
that video he pulled out where he was like talking down
Long
to
story
the
short, he took a
CEO.
strong stance.
He was like, "Hey, there's no way you can be out here talking about us like that, like the writers, because they're the ones who build." Like, I was like, "Yo, Ron,
A lot of them are doing that. Like the dude from Malcolm in the Middle, the main dude, the guy from freaking The Hobbit, you know, the short dude, like Samwise Gamgee, that guy, that actor, everybody.
That's dope. It's the
I
right
mean-
thing to do.
Well, the thing is now with AI, and that's a separate topic for a separate time, because AI right now, and there's a lot of tools. I mean, I use it. I'll be honest. I use a lot of it in certain components of businesses. But I use it more like I was just talking about it the other day with somebody. I use it like an enhanced Google search. That's what I'm using it like.
But that's different.
I'm not
Versus-
using it
versus
to like
how
mirror, like steal people's
take
imagery.
your face, and now instead of paying you, I have your face, so I don't have to pay you. Like that's weird.
That's crazy. That's
crazy.
wild.
Well, now it's going to shift. The dynamic's going to shift, guys. Anybody who has a job or a role that can be replaced by artificial intelligence. So I recommend service industries, because service industries are hard to duplicate. you ain't gonna get a robot out there freaking ripping your roof off and falling off the roof. You know what I'm saying?
Stay in a hot ass sun.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that.
Man.
But no, guys, this is freaking fire, dude. This is killer, man. I
How'd
haven't.
you like it, man?
I very seldom get gifts, so this is like very a treat for me.
So, let us know what you got going on this weekend again.
Okay.
And let us know all your socials. Plug us in so we know where to find you and how we can get here on the weekend.
Okay, so we're located in Margate, Florida. You can Google Flynn's Arcade and More. I think we're the only one in South Florida, so I think you should be able to find us. Tons of free parking, totally family friendly. On a normal day, it's $15 unlimited. All the games are set to free play, no tokens, coins, or quarters, or $10 an hour. We have a ton of arcade games and video game consoles, trading card games, Pokemon, freaking Gundam, Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons. This weekend, August 19th, we have our Everything Star Wars Day from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. That includes Star Wars trivia, a movie at the end, special guests, vendors, all types of stuff, Star Wars centric. Then on that Sunday, the 20th, we have our Madden 24 tournament.
Let's go.
From 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. for Madden 24, run by EA Sports Open. Then we have the following weekend on that Saturday, the 26th, FIFA 23. And then we have from 1 to 6, then we have CrawlCon, which are everything board games, tabletop gaming thing, extravaganza with Crawl board games on the 27th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then throughout the week, $10 Tuesdays in honor of Grand Prix Racerama. So instead of $15 all day play, it's $10 in honor of an arcade that doesn't exist anymore. Wednesday nights we have Dungeons and Dragons. Thursday nights Gundam Build and Paint. Friday nights Magic the Gathering, Commander nights, plus all our fighting game tournaments: Street Fighter 6, Guilty Gear Strive. They do Melty Blood. They do Under Night. They do Grand Blue. They do all sorts of fighting games.
SF6 though.
Yeah, that's an interesting game. It's an interesting dynamic. It's taken off really well. And we average probably somewhere between 15 to 20 plus players for our locals here.
wow.
So yeah, it was a really solid crowd.
Awesome.
And then you can find us everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter,
YouTube, all of that.
YouTube,
Got you right here.
Facebook, Google Maps, Eventbrite, Meetup.com,
And they're all the
Discord.
same? Flynn's
Usually, if you just Google Flynn's Arcade and More, or better yet, I apologize, Flynn's Gaming FL. So Flynn's Gaming FL, FLYNNS Gaming FL. That's where you usually can find everything. If you head on over to flynn'sgaming.com, I think right when he loads, right there are the buttons, like Twitter, like you can click on it, it'll take you wherever you want to go. Then we have a huge Discord channel. We have like a little over 1,100 active members in Discord, different channels from everything from, cosplay to Pokemon to Yu-Gi-Oh to Gundam to whatever. So we do all sorts of stuff. And feel free to call, text, or email, and yeah, we can't wait to see you guys soon. I appreciate your guys' time.
Now we appreciate you. Thank you
sure,
for
my
having
pleasure.
us, man.
My pleasure, guys.
And with that said, episode
Cuarenta.
live from Flynn's Arcade.